So today we are going to create a to-do list using Redux.
So first we will write npm install Redux.JS toolkit to install the toolkit for Redux.
And inside our source folder we are going to create a new folder named Redux. Inside the Redux, first we are going to create a file named store.js. Inside store.js, I want you to import configure store from the ReactJS toolkit which we installed from and after this we are going to export default configure store and we will add our reducer inside this. So now inside our configure store, let us add a reducer and it has to-dos which has the to-do reducer. We have not created any other component, so you will not understand this right now. So we are going to create all our components first and then we are going to understand it. Inside the components folder, we are going to create a file that is add to do form .js. So inside our add to do form, we have a form with our on submit function, a label which has the title name, an input which has the type text, value, and we have an on change event which we are going to add, and we have a button which is the type submit. So now let's go ahead and write down our submit. Also we are going to use our use state hook, so we are going to also import that use state. We are also going to import the dispatch from React Redux. So we will say use dispatch from React Redux. And now let us write our functions. So const so now let us create our const. It has a value and a set value, and we will assign it to use state, and it is an empty string. And next is our const dispatch, which is use dispatch. Next we are going to define our on submit. So for that, const on submit, it takes the event e, and then we are going to say event dot prevent default, and if the value is dispatched, and here we are going to add our action. So for now let us leave it as it is and we will update it later on. Next we are going to create another file inside our components folder which is total completed items. So this is going to represent the total completed items inside the list. So total completed.js. Here we are going to import React, import React from React, and we are going to import the use selector from React Redux, and we will create our const total complete, total completed here we are going to check that our task is complete or not. So the const to do's uses the use selector, takes state as an input, and then state dot to do's. We are going to use the filter function dot filter, and inside filter we will add to do, which is going to say that the to do is completed if it is true. Completed is true. And here state we're also going to add a return statement. This return has an h4 which says total completed items, and we will also represent the length of the list. So to do's dot length, at the end we are going to export default to total completed. We will create another file inside our components folder and we will name it to do list.js. Here we are going to import React from React, and we are also going to import the use effect hook inside our component. Next we are going to import use selector and use dispatch from React Redux. So const to do list, and we are going to assign it to an arrow function. Here we are going to add a const dispatch and we will assign it to use dispatch. Next is const to do's and we will assign it to the use selector hook, and we are going to pass our arguments inside that is state. And next the state is going to give us an output of state dot to do's. Next we are going to write our use effect, and inside our use effect we are going to pass an arrow function. Here we will say dispatch, and the second argument will be dispatch inside an array. We are going to return an unordered list after this, which includes the data that we have passed into our to-do list. So we are going to use the map method to display our items inside our to-dos list. So to-dos.map, and then we will write to do, and we are assigning it to our component that is to do items. We will create to do items and then we will display it inside the parent component that is to do list. Here we are going to add three properties. One is ID, the other is title, and the third one is completed, true or false. So we just add all the items and we will assign it to todo.id, todo.title and todo.completed. Next we are going to create a file named todo-slice.js inside our Redux. Here we will import create slice from the Redux.js toolkit, and next we are going to add a constant that is todo-slice. We are using the create slice method here. Create slice method helps us to share the store among all the
other app components. Here we are going to add name, and the name will be assigned to to-dos, and another we are going to add the reducers. We are also going to add the initial state. The initial state includes 4 properties: ID, title, and completed. Next we are going to add reducers. The first one is add to do. It takes state and action as an input, and it is going to create a new to do, and the ID will be the time it was created. So we are using date.now so that it can have a unique ID. The second one will be the title, and the title will be action dot payload dot title. Last we are going to add the completed. So completed will be false because this is a new item that we are adding to the to-do list, so it will not be completed in the beginning. Lastly, we will add state.push, and we will push new to-do into the state, and then we will export our action to-do. So we will write export const, and then we will add all our reducers inside it, and we will assign it to to-do slice.actions. Lastly, we will also export our reducer. Inside our store.js, we are going to import our to-do reducers from the to-do slice.js. Let us add another reducer, toggle complete, inside our reducers. Again, it is going to take state and action as an input, and then it is going to return a new state. Here we are going to use the find the index method, and then we are going to add to do and assign it to todo.id, and then we are going to write action dot payload. Lastly, we are going to set the state, and inside that we are going to say index, and we will assign it to completed. So action dot payload dot completed. We can add as many reducers as we want, so we will add another reducer, that is delete to do also. Now I've created another file, that is to-do items.js. Here I have added an input tag which is of the type checkbox, and then a button that has delete. I've also written some function to handle the on change of the checkbox, and that is it. And we have also added our toggle complete inside this component. Here we are using ID, title, and completed, all 3 of the attributes. Lastly, we will export our component, adding the third reducer inside our to-do slice, that is delete to do. It is going to filter our components according to the ID. Inside to-do items, we will also import delete to do along with toggle component, and then we are going to write the handle delete function for our action. So here we are going to dispatch the delete to do function based on ID of our to-do list. Lastly, we are going to add our components inside our main component, that is app.js. So add to do form, and another will be to do list, and the last one will be to do completed. We are not rendering to do items because it is already present in our to do list. We will import the store inside our index.js so that it can be used, and then assign the provider with store. Inside the to do form, we are going to add the dispatch function for add to do, and we will set the title to value. Now if you see the output, here is our to do list. Currently we have 0 items in it because we have not added any item. So see you in the next video.